Hello, ExoSage here on the Sage channel, and this large ship that you see before you is the Behemoth capital ship. This ship originally started out as what was supposed to be a quick launch ship, where it would jump into an area, launch a bunch of fighters, and then jump out. But as I continued to build it, well, things got a little out of hand. I had originally started out with, well, let me fly down here and show you, these quick launch bays. As I said, it was originally supposed to be a quick launch ship, so I built these bays just shortly after the artificial mass blocks were added to the game, and the idea was that you would have a bunch of gravity generators below the floor, and then you'd have your small fighters with their artificial mass blocks stuck into them. And so you can see here I have tons and tons of these bays, and I'll really quickly demonstrate how they work. Of course, as I just mentioned, there are gravity generators below the floor here, but if we were to fly in here, I'll actually go ahead and turn those on by going into the UI, and of course using the new grouping system, it's really easy to turn all those on. I just turn on the launch tubes and it's got all the gravity generators in there with their setup fields not to interfere with the rest of the station. Then I can simply hop into a fighter, and inside this fighter there are a bunch of artificial mass blocks you can see here, and I could go ahead and turn all those on, but actually I'm going to do this a bit differently. I'll turn those on, I'm going to disengage our landing gears, and then as soon as I press Y to turn on, the actual ship will be launched. And I'm actually going to disable our inertial dampers too, so there we go. And whoosh, you can see pretty much instantly we've been accelerated all the way up to 104 meters per second. And you see it's flung us out of there very, very far. So you can imagine this ship jumping into a combat area and instantly launching just dozens and dozens of fighters. That is, of course, if the landing gears actually hold these ships in place when the ship moves. I'm not exactly sure how well they will. Anyway, let me go ahead and press K and disable our quick launch system here, because of course we don't want to fly into any of the gravitational fields of this ship or anything else and end up getting flung about. And I'll just go ahead and go over the outside of the ship first really quickly, and then I'll go on to the inside of it, which is sort of a maze because of the sort of haphazard way I started building this, starting out with a quick launch, going to a hangar bay, and yeah, it grew a lot. So, as I just mentioned, hangar bay, that's a big thing right here. After I had built the quick launch base, I wanted a basic area where you could land a ship and repair it, so I stuck this large hangar bay in here. Originally it didn't even have a roof, but I decided to add one after a while. And I stuck, well, you know, 1,000,000,001 little doors down here along the bottom so you could go in and out of the rest of the ship. After time, I ended up adding overlook windows up there, which would actually be officers' quarters. I'll show you the inside of those shortly enough. And then, of course, I wanted storage containers here. That way you could get storage to repair your ships after you dock them here, and easily enough refuel them, because, of course, you wouldn't be refueling them in the launch pads. You'd be bringing them back here after combat to repair, refuel, and then you just slide them back into those launch tubes. And then, of course, I even have a assembler there. That way you can build your parts. And all of this is actually connected behind these walls with conveyors, so you can actually see the conveyors coming out here to a docking if you want the quick refuel there once they actually get connectors working properly. So there's that. That's the wonderful hangar bay. Let's go ahead and look at the engine nacelles now. I actually have 4 of them. Maybe nacelle isn't the right word, but the engine blocks, they're all the same. Everything in this ship is actually mirrored, and they're pretty damn strange, actually. It's one of my strangest engine setups ever. Of course, nowadays you can't have engines behind engines, so it leads to some very strange ways of trying to put enough thrusters on the propeller of your ship, and it doesn't always seem to work out well for looks. But I don't know, it gives it an interesting look. I really like the upper part there, and I actually do quite like this section here. And really quickly, because I am getting a bit more lag than I'd like, I'm going to turn down my graphics settings here a little bit. So there we go, I've gone from extreme to normal, and it's still pretty dang laggy, unfortunately. We'll just have to live with it. Anyway, these, as I was just saying, are the engine nacelles. They are connected through these little passageways right here, and there's another one right there. There's 2 that connect each engine section. Now, inside these things, there is no reactors, nothing like that, but there are about, I'd say, probably 400 to 500 plus gyroscopes in each one of these 4 giant engine blocks. It's a fair amount of engine power, gyroscope turning power in these, but the ship, I don't know, for such a big ship I actually think it turns well, but if you were to see it move, which I'll show you later, it doesn't exactly turn as quickly as one might like. So anyway, that's the engines. Let's go on to something else, another actual way to propel a ship. I have a mass drive inside the ship. So along the top here, the very top center point, you might notice these little windows here. Now if you're to fly close enough, you can actually see through those windows that there are, wow, I'm about to crash. I had my inertial dampers off. not exactly a good day, and I'm going to blame that on the lag throwing me off my game. But anyway, if you look inside there, you can see the artificial mass blocks in there. This runs all along the top. I don't have that the most heavily armored just because, I don't know, nacelles and a lot of stuff often have this nice glowing blue color to them. And when I turn all those on, you can actually see the blue through there. It looks pretty decent, actually. And that right there, that whole line of artificial mass blocks, there's a bunch of gravity generators in there that power them as well. And down along the bottom of the ship, we have the same thing here, because otherwise it would just cause the ship to spin, probably, I believe, yeah, downwards if we just had it set at the top and not the bottom. So it's equally balanced, so the ship should move forward when we activate that. Anyway, now is time to go inside the ship, and instead of using the hangar bay doors, I'm going to go ahead and use the other large ship docking door. So this is where if you had another huge ship that would come and dock, it would dock right here. And this is actually next to what is the piloting area bridge right there, the flight overlook there, and the mess hall right here. There's two of these, so you can retrofit them however you like. One to be just a mess hall for eating, one to be entertaining. There's just one on either side of the ship. So here we go, we're inside the large ship airlock. We can go through here, pop ourselves into the main hallways of the ships, and yeah, now we could be in the middle of a city, actually. It's pretty roomy in a lot of areas of the ship. Directly to our left here, if you look through these windows, a little hard to see through the glass because of the way it's set up. That's actually the medical bay, so we can run around here and go into there. And the medical bay is actually designed to be close to that door. That way, if this ship is in combat, it'll try to, you know, drop off its fighters and then get to a safe distance to basically command the battle from afar. But anybody who's hurt would be brought here, docked with that area, or brought from the main landing areas into here to be treated, or even, you know, medical machines respawn from here, or just, you know, find themselves in a medical bed, or if they're in really serious trouble, they'd go into this thing and be brought down here to a lower deck, and be stuck in a cryopod to be taken back to, well, civilization to be treated better than they could be here. And also, these cryopods would double as, if the ship is going to be on a long patrol or something of that sort, you could store most of your crew in these. And there are 4 medical bays on this ship, all look exactly the same, which means if there's 2 of these large cryo chamber halls under each medical bay, that means we have 8 of those large medical, or large cryogenic areas throughout the whole ship. And this door right here, by the way, this just leads us out into a small airlock, which actually shouldn't be depressurized, but if the ship comes under bombardment, this is another, it's a workspace basically under the ship. And throughout the ship where you can see all the pipes and stuff. It's a maze in here, so I'm not really going to spend too much time floating about there, but that's just one way to get into those crawl spaces. And let's go ahead and head back up into the medical bay area now, and I'll show you another section of the ship. Remember, the ship is mirrored, and I believe I mentioned that earlier. It's actually mirrored in 4 directions, so the other side of the ship, to each side of the hangar bay, the main hangar bay as you saw earlier, it's mirrored from left to right and forward back, as you could probably tell. So that's why this medical bay here is mirrored all the way. If we were to run down here, all the way at the end of this hall, well, we get another medical bay. So end up with a whole lot of stuff in the ship, and there's another large ship docking area. Now, this large section here that I just ran past, as I pointed out while we were on the outside of the ship, is actually the mess hall, one of the 2 mess halls, and it's a pretty nice big open area. You can imagine them converting one of these into a enjoyment luxury area, maybe movies playing, maybe even a basketball course. It's kind of big enough for that. It's could be whatever you really like, and we got a few windows to look out in the hallway that give you some more sense of space in the ship. It's pretty nice, actually. And then, of course, across from that mess hall area, we have these 2 doors here, which lead to the same thing, which is the one of the 4 barracks in the ship. So you got all your nice beds here, and of course the ship might need more people than you can fit in these 4 barracks. That's why you have the cryopods as well. So there's one barracks, and the other one is mirrored right here, because this is actually the mirroring point of the ship. If I was to go 4, you can see here we have the red mirroring screen. And then, of course, it's mirrored on the other side of that large hangar that goes through the center of the ship. It's a pretty huge place. And then, of course, down here, this hallway actually leads to another main hall I'll show you in a second. But then we have some storage here just for personal stuff for the crew members of the ship. It could be stored in here and in here. And then this doorway right here actually leads us back into the other bunk area. And then, of course, more storage. Anyway, let's go ahead back to this large main hallway here. And now we're going to carry on all the way down to those doors there. We're not going through those. We're going to hang a left at this point into what is basically the bridge. They're at least where this ship is controlled. The ship itself isn't designed for war. It's designed to jump in and out or at least jump in, drop off its troops, and try to get to a semi-safe distance. So this is actually where the commander, or not commander, but the pilot would sit. And there's actually 4 different piloting stations. That way if one pilot is taken out, the other ones can easily enough survive. And you see here, it's right inside this little set of windows right here is where I'm currently sitting. So if I was to hop out of this, you can see out those windows. They're armored, and of course if they're blown out, then we have the armor right here. It's all designed, nice red lights, sort of keep your night vision strong if you need it. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool, and it's off-center, which is something different for me to have your cockpit off-center in this section of the ship. It's overall, I like it a lot, but very, very strange. If, of course, I try to move the ship since I'm here right now, you can see acceleration on the ship is very, 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 very slow. But turning, for such a huge ship, you can see the mast down in the bottom right. It's not too bad, I would say, to be able to turn as quickly as this actually is. It's pretty nice. Anyway, here's another way to easily see the symmetry I was talking about while I was in the inside. You can see the 4 engine nacelles as I was talking about before, how mirrored they are. Anyway, let's go ahead and head to another section of the ship now. So let's head back up here, head out this doors. I got a lot of double doors you'll notice like this, so it's airlocked, so if this huge hallway is depressurized, you don't have to worry about depressurizing any of the cabins just to be able to get out into the hall to try to fix something. A lot of those are scattered about. Now this here, these 2 doors, they lead into another little airlock thing. Orange is usually for something that's leading to a workspace. And this actually leads us into one of the engine nacelles, where you can see all those rotors I was talking about earlier and all their madness and insanity that is crammed in here. It's pretty chaotic in here. So let's just go back to the rest of the ship. We don't need to be in there. Obviously, there's no gravity in there either, since a lot of the gravitational fields of the ship are set up to try not to interfere with everything else. So let's go ahead and finish off with what's on this side of the ship before we head to any other floors. Now, in here is the barracks area. Just make sure you kind of know where we are. To our left is a hallway. I'll get into those hallways down there in a second, but if we go through these 3 large doors here, this leads us into another large main hall. And this is actually where, when we were in those barracks storage rooms, if you look through those windows, you might have glimpsed them. This is that huge hall I was talking about. And this runs the entire length of the ship from front to back to front. And there's, of course, the hallway we just came from, and it's mirrored down there. It's all pretty nice. Originally, it was pretty hard to tell where any of the doors were here, because they all looked like this, where they just had the pillars going up and down. But I added this sort of slant all the way to here, instead of having the pillar right there, which sort of broke up the hallway, and then I stuck the windows in. It became easier to tell where everything was, so it was pretty nice. Anyway, let's go ahead and run all the way down here. That's the small hallway I pointed at when I was running through this area here. It was right there, pretty chaotic. But if we were to carry on past that, we actually get to this here, and all these doors right here lead to the same thing. These 2 doors here lead back into the engine nacelle, because remember there are 2 connection points that lead between the engine nacelles. So here we go, we've drifted into the engine nacelle, and you can see where we were earlier is way over there now. So let's head back into the ship, since we don't need to be drifting around those engine nacelles forever. And at this point, you can actually see these little walkways here heading up. And actually, I should probably show you what's in these doors, shouldn't I? As I sort of hinted at that. These doors here lead into what is basically a briefing room where the crew would gather. There's 4 of these briefing rooms, again, because the ship is mirrored. And whoever is doing the briefing could stand up here with whoever else is helping out and just inform the crew, and presumably there would also be, cameras set up to capture whatever they're saying, to transmit to the rest of the crew if need be, because I'm assuming the whole crew couldn't fit into that one room there, or the 4 rooms. And then, of course, we also have this little room here. This is sort of preparation room for whoever is doing the briefing. And then this little doorway here leads us down into those hallways, the small hallways I was hinting at a minute ago. So you can see here, there's a lot of looping hallways and stuff in this ship. That way you don't have to take the long way every time if you know your way around. This is a lift passage. I'll get to that in a minute. And again, these are hallways leading us back to a lot of the areas we've been before, such as that. This leads us back out into near the barracks. And then, of course, this door down here to our right now will lead us to that little area I was pointing out earlier. There we go. So, well, that was that door we passed up to get to. Well, originally those and then those. Anyway, as I started to go off on a tangent, here we go. We got these stairwells here. You might say, well, shouldn't you finish off this floor first? Well, this is pretty much this floor. This leads us up, and if we were to go through here, nice little airlock, you can see there was an orange light there to give you a heads up. This leads us out into the Hangar Bay, the main large Hangar Bay. It's a, walking around on it is actually, I love it a lot. It's pretty dang enjoyable. I love the orange lights and all the higher ranking officers' rooms looking down on you and being able to keep track of how whatever their crew is doing while repairing stuff. It's pretty awesome. You can see we got dozens and dozens and dozens of these doors that lead down to that main hallway, so it should be easy access to get in and out whenever you need to go back into the ship for any reason. There's no running to an airlock, usually. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish off this floor now with this simple thing here. Oh, wow, this is like one of the few that didn't get a hallway, I think. Yeah, this one here. This is basically the same thing, except for now we have a connector that runs from one side of the ship to the other to allow you easy access to the mirrored side of the ship. So it's just like the other side, just mirrored. It's a huge ship. It's designed to be able to house lots and lots of people, and because it's mirrored, it ends up with a lot of redundancy, but that could be very, very useful. Anyway, let's go ahead and head down to the bottom floor first, and you can see here, you ran right past them, but we have these large shafts here. We can go down them. They only have one stop, and it's all the way down here. This is actually the launch control area. So if you were to go through any of these doors, you can see we have a little storage crate and stuff, but this is where you'd be some crewman would be overlooking a ship just as it's about to launch. So that's pretty cool. Ideally, I'd like to have controls in here. That way you could toggle off more easily than going over here, the whole launch tubes control. But, for now, it's great. And let's just go ahead, and all these doors, by the way, on this side of the wall, they're all the same thing, just dozens and dozens of those launch tubes. And to get down to the actual launch tube from here, here's one of those shafts we just came down to get to here. There's another one in the middle here that you simply drift down, and then you can run out this door, and gravity will cut out in a second here as you get out there, because of course you're going to be exposed to all the G-forces pushing you out that way if you're in one of those small fighters. So anyway, let's head back up one floor now, because that's the very bottom. And let's go ahead and look in this door here. And there's a bunch of these doors. And these doors lead us into what is basically the reactor area and sort of emergency fuel storage area, where you can see there is just tons and tons and tons of reactors here. They're all filled up. I actually took the time to go ahead and fill them all up. So if I pop this open, you can see there is tons and tons of uranium in here. And all these aren't exactly filled up. There's sort of, now that I think about it, I think some of them might have been skipped because the way auto filters, but most of them are pretty well filled up with a whole lot of stuff. I was trying to make sure they were all filled up. That way, if I ever took this ship into a survival place, it could last pretty much for an eternity. So yeah, you can see this runs the whole length of this ship down at the bottom. It's quite the room. It's quite the room. Anyway, let's go ahead and now head back up, because this is at pretty much literally the bottom of the ship. Only thing below this is just hallways with those conveyors. So let's go ahead and head back up this way and go up to the next floor, I guess, because I think we're done with these lower decks. We can finally start going up. So here we go out of here, and then the best way to go up from here would probably be down this hallway all the way to the end. There, back up there, by the way, is the briefing area, but we don't want to go there. We want to start taking this up, and we'll go up just one floor right here, pop this door open, and go ahead and hop off right here. And this will actually lead us to our right is a maintenance area. So, ta-da. This leads us into the crawl spaces again. You can see we actually have those assemblers I think I pointed out in the large hangar bay. There's also refineries, just in case this ship ever needs it to refine anything. We got refineries set up back here, that way you can drop stuff off, have it refined, and then use those assemblers out there to build stuff. And of course you can do all that from afar and then just have it sent to a crate maybe you could access from inside the ship. There's a few of those about. Anyway, no need to show you around the inner workings of some of that stuff. Let's just go up this stairwell here. And this actually leads us to basically Battle Command. There's 4 of these rooms, but really there might as well just be 2, because if we run to the end of this doorway and open it up, it just leads to the other one right away, because this is at the mirroring point of the structure. But the point of these rooms is basically this is where the crew would be set up, the commanders, everyone would be set up to basically command the whole entire battle that would be going on, as well as fire the weapons on this ship. There are not many, but this is where they'd be doing most of the logistics planning on, commanding other large ships, giving some basic orders to the fighters, or at least to the fighters' commanders, that would relay their orders to their actual people. So this is, one of 2 of the large command halls, and of course I don't have any custom models in here that really fit that yet, so unfortunately it's a bit barren. Anyway, let's head back down this way, and back down into the, basically, elevator, or whatever you want to call it, and head up to the next floor. And this floor is pretty simple, actually. This floor on this one has a nice, very nice actually, airlock here. This is sort of like the main crew airlock. If you're going out there to do some serious maintenance into the large hangar bay, this is where you would go out. That way you could suit up in all your gear or whatever and take it out there to do repairs. Or if there were drop ships docked here, this is possibly where your military troopers could come through, grab their gear, and then get onto those larger ships and take off and go to wherever they're going to be landing. Anyway, let's go ahead and head back down here and look through these doors. And these doors don't actually need a double door, but it seems weird to just have a singular one. This actually leads us into, you see the orange lights, this is going to lead us down to a more maintenance-esque area. And we can fly down. We're going to first off reach this floor, which isn't actually maintenance. This actually leads us to one of the other large hallways from earlier. As you can see here, it's the one straight across from one of the engine bay cells. But if we carry on down, its main reason is just to get us down to here, which is, you actually probably spotted this door earlier when I came out of the cryogenic storage area that was right there. This is actually the other door right here. That's another just easy access way to get around, because I don't want any singular way for most of the hallways. I want to be able to loop around on stuff. So anyway, let's head back up to where we were, get into that main lift that we were in a minute ago, and carry on up to another floor. So here we go, and here, and up we go to this floor. And this is actually the top floor, you can see. And so we can pop this door open, head out through here, voila. Lovely, lovely blue lights. This is actually probably my favorite floor, just because it was one of the first floors I actually did. And this is Fighter Command. So basically, down below, where we were a minute ago, was where the whole battle would be commanded. They say, okay, fighter squadrons, we need you to concentrate fire here, or however you would have it set. Basically, however their minds would work, they'd give the order to have their fighters attack this sector, and these guys would do the actual planning of how those fighters should attack that sector. And of course, if a fighter's broken up or damaged, they could make a nice flyby by these huge windows. That way you could take a look at them and say, oh yeah, I see the damage you're talking about, or nothing looks wrong. Basically, quick overview with these nice windows to be able to see how much damage is done to a fighter without needing it to actually go into the large docking bay or anything like that. Anyway, so again, no custom models in here yet, don't have the proper ones. Now, if we were to go through all the way down here actually into this area, this door leads to the main control room for the hangar bay. So this is basically one of the 4 main control rooms for the hangar bay. And by the way, that large control room we were just in, just like all the other rooms, this ship is mirrored, 2 ways. So if we got 4 of those large control rooms, we got 4 of these overlooks here. So this ship could have a whole lot of multitasking going on at once, so I like it a lot. Anyway, let's head into this hallway. This leads us to basically what is the high-ranking officers' hall. This little door here, by the way, leads us to the hallway we were just in. It's sort of just another way into that high-ranking office hall. That way they don't have to go through the hangar bay control room first. They can just cut through that little door there. And each of these rooms here, if you look down here, we got tons and tons of doors. All these rooms lead to pretty much the same thing, where you got your nice bunk, your desk. These are all just civilian models technically, but you could imagine. And then you got your nice overlook, so if the captain, let's say, had this room, he could very easily just look out on his people as they're repairing ships or preparing, or just have a nice view, and if you really want to even get a glimpse of stars, even though it's not the best. Anyway, let's go ahead and carry back down to, I believe, what else am I forgetting? Alright, the inner workings of the ship. I know I didn't want to show you much, but I will show you a little bit. So let's go ahead and go down a singular floor. Go ahead and fly all the way down this hallway here, and jump all the way down. Of course, I'm in creative mode, so I can actually do that without dying, and get into this work area here. And I'll just go over the piping inside the ship really quickly. And all the way down here at the very, very, very base of the ship, all these pipes here actually connect up to the large reactors and those storage containers you saw. So this is the grid along the bottom of the ship, basically holding all that stuff together and connecting it. If we were to float over here, these are the gravity generators used for launching the ships out of those side tunnels. I got a whole bunch of them to make sure those things launch damn quick. And then of course, if we were to follow these pipes, of course, since you couldn't easily access these with ships to drop off supplies or pull stuff out, these pipes go up, joint, and of course it's mirrored that way. Carry on this way, little subdivider here to get it down one, and this leads over to the main storage area, which is between decks here, just a huge storage area here, where you could store anything volatile easily enough. And then of course from this it links up to this pipe, which goes, actually let me make sure I can actually get around this pipe here. There we go. which goes up to the refineries and stuff that we were at earlier. So you can see here we have it all connecting into this long stretch here, which connects with the assemblers and all the other stuff in the large hangar bay. And then of course it connects back just to have, again, my idea of having multiple paths to everything to connect to the refineries. Then you might see there's a few pipes also going up here. This is linking to this huge array here, because this ship, even though it's not designed to be in the line of fire necessarily, it does have a few large missile launchers stuck to the sides of it, and that's what these are here. So I'll buzz outside really quickly and show you guys what those look like as soon as I can find the door. I think there was one right around this corner here, wasn't there? Yes, there was. Wonderful. Let me go ahead and go. Yep, there we go. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and get outside. Pretty quick if you know your way around. Still can feel like it's taken a while, but it's not too bad, frankly. I would actually like to see this ship, once the game gets more stable, have a full complement of, you know, probably 100 and something people manning it and have a battle between this one and maybe a few other smaller ships, or even this ship and another one. But anyway, let's go ahead and buzz around the side here, and you can see that as soon as I get around here, here's that large overlook for the fighter command that we were in earlier. You can see the nice antennas for those, and then here's those missile turrets I was talking about. Or not missile turrets, pardon, but those missile launchers. So it's got a whole array of these on each side of the ship. A whole bunch of them, actually. And of course they're not aimed that well, but again, the ship's not actually intended to be in frontline combat. It's meant to jump in, drop its fighters, and try to keep its distance. And here's the battle command windows, by the way. It's really hard to see through there, and of course they're glass as well as the old-fashioned windows, which act as double armor. And here's another one of those wonderful fighter command overlooks right there as we fly about. I'm just going to go over some of the things again. That way, I don't know, just because it's nice. Here's the hangar bay overlook right here, or hangar control, I guess. And here's another hangar control over there, followed by lots and lots of higher ranking officer quarters here. And then as we get along to the far side, we'll just fly up and see much the same as we saw before of the fighter command stuff here, more of battle command, and then of course if we just buzz down a little bit, you can see the mess hall right there. And of course the actual piloting bridge is stuck right down here in this tiny little window, so hopefully that won't take much flack. But again, there's 4 of them. I think it would be pretty damn dedicated to take out all 4 to stop this ship from moving. So anyway, that's about it. I know it's a bit ranty. It's a big ship. It's kind of a confusing ship, even for me, even though I built it. It's kind of insane, actually. It took me a long time to get my head wrapped around exactly what I had done when I ended up with all those little hallways, because I built about half of the exterior first and then finished the interior. So it ended up being kind of maddening. But yeah, it's I'm pretty happy with it. There's a few little things like this right here where there's supposed to be a large storage container, but it's apparently missing. So I'll have to fix that later. But yeah, that's about it. Let's go ahead and go to the bridge to show you how fast this ship actually does accelerate with the artificial mass drive. So let's go ahead, and fastest way to the bridge from here probably is down 1 floor from this. Yeah, I think that should be the fastest way to the bridge from here. Yep, that should do it. And then of course we can run through that long shot hallway right... Oh, did I pass it? Yeah, wait, no, what? I've got myself turned around, sorry. Yeah, I'm facing the wrong way. I think. No, I wasn't. I was not facing the wrong way. This is the bridge right here. Yeah, like I said, I built the ship, yet I still get turned around. Anyway, so let's go ahead, hop in here really quick. I think this should be facing the same way as those mass drives are, and let's just go ahead and switch it on. And there we go, it is turned on. And you can see really quickly, pretty damn quickly for such a large ship, we'll even turn off our inertial dampeners. We are accelerating pretty damn quick. So here we go, the monster ship I have here, the Behemoth capital ship. Yeah. And of course I could add more artificial masses up there to get it going even faster. I might actually do that and tweak it. Yeah, it's a pretty insane ship. And thank God for grouping, because I started this ship, you know, as I think I mentioned earlier, before grouping, and it was insane trying to color all the lights in this ship. You know, if I scroll down past these artificial masses, you'll see originally when I started doing the lights, if I can actually get through all the bloody doors that I have in the ship, And past the gravity generators and the gyroscopes. Come on, let's get past the gyroscopes. Okay, there we go. You can see these underscore L's. These were all the lights I did before there was grouping. So you can see I was doing each of these one at a time, naming them, and it was hell on earth. And then once grouping came in, it was nice, because I just say, hey, this is the start of this set of lights. This is the end of this set of lights. Shift select them all and group them, and my oh my, did that make things easier. Whew. Anyway, now we're very, very clearly all the way up to 104 meters per second, and I can go ahead and try to turn the ship. Yeah, it's, yeah, I think the name Behemoth fits it well. It's just a monstrosity. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you like the ship. I should have it up on the Steam Workshop within a day, maybe two. Oh, wow, we actually had an engine blowout. I bet you that was caused by one of that one fighter that we still had stored in the ship somewhere breaking free. Yeah, you see the fire in there? Damn it, those landing gears. I have 4 landing gears on that thing. All of its systems were off. You'd think it would actually be able to stay attached. That's just silly stupid. Anyway, sorry, that's just me ranting. I hope you guys enjoyed the ship. I hope you'll check it out on the Steam Workshop. Should be up there within a day. And, yeah, that's about it. See you guys later.